Hello, and welcome back to my terribly uninteresting playthrough of Zelda II, The Adventure of Link, the movie, the game, the movie, the game. In our last episode, I beat Parappa Palace and talked a whole lot of shit about modern Zelda while comparing it unfavorably to classic Zelda. I have no idea if I'm going to do that again, so let's just talk about what's going on right now. So, I'm going to head to the cave south of the North Palace, which I normally do before getting the candle, but I forgot. This cave is actually really easy to do in the dark. It's even easier than that one I did in the dark before, because this cave has no lava, and you can see every enemy's kind of outline in the ground below, and you can faintly see the Octoroks' rocks coming. So this particular cave is very easy to do right at the beginning of the game, get some easy experience, get a magic container and get some magic. I recommend it before heading to Parappa Palace for all you first-time Zelda 2 players. From here, normally you'd have to go get the jump spell. I already did that in the last playthrough, so I'm going to head now to the second palace. I didn't remember if there was some hidden thing or life in that little nook. There's some extra lives hidden about the map in some tiles that trigger scenes. Something irritating is that if you hit a random mob that's walking around, when you would go into one of those tiles, you'll trigger the random encounter instead of the actual scene. Unless you are on a tile where the encounter can't happen. Normal road tiles like this can have an encounter, although it's empty unless you get a fairy. Although there's some counters, or there's some tiles, like ocean tiles, bridge tiles, where enemy random encounters just can't happen. This particular cave is... I have gotten through it blind, like blind without the candle, but a no-candle run is something I have not yet attempted in my lifetime because there are many caves later in the game with much more dangerous enemies than these little slugs and garayas and bats. Like, the entire final stretch to the final dungeon, the Valley of Death. You can get random encounters there that all count as cave, so if you don't have the candle, you are in the dark for all of them. And they have lava pits and Lizalfos, which is an enemy I'll talk about when we get to that point, and Moas, and a whole lot of just really, really mean shit. So Zelda 2, my understanding is that the latest 3DS Adventure Time game that was released, what was this subtitled, Hey Ice King, Why Did You Steal Our Garbage, I think, is apparently like this, and very good, but it ends before it really starts kind of getting there. So that's a game I wouldn't mind trying, although I have no idea how to record 3DS playthroughs just yet. This is the swamp. When you walk through swamp tiles, you are slowed. There is an extra life in the tile close to that boulder. I don't remember which tile, and I don't go for it. Something else I don't go for, and this is gonna bite me in the ass, is the life spell in the town to the south. Normally I would go get that spell before going to the second palace. Unfortunately, I was really, really dumb and did not do that. Why, I do not know. I thought, I can beat the second palace without the healing, no problem, even though enemies don't drop life ups in this game. I can totally do it. So here, there are a bunch of random encounters, not random encounters, but encounter tiles in the forest. I go through all of them for two reasons. Partly because it's a nice chunk of experience to kill all these hopping birds, and I think there's a pea bag in one of these, but there's also a tile that contains the hidden hut of Bagu, which I need to talk to get his note to show to the River Man, which I will need after the second palace in order to go to Death Mountain and get the hammer. I actually could go to Death Mountain before the second palace, but Death Mountain is... like, the second palace you get the power glove, I think it's called a power glove, or the gauntlet, whatever, that lets you destroy bricks, and I think there are only brick tiles in palaces, so it's only strictly necessary for palaces. But the path that leads out of Death Mountain kind of naturally takes you where you need to progress the quest and goes to the town where you get the down thrust in the third palace. So we're going to save that for after the second one. So I think I start fast forwarding the video here because we start to get to the point that I realize that you, the dear viewer, probably don't want to see all this meandering about. These bird enemies are not that tough, they hop. The hardest part is timing slashes sometimes, and since before this run I hadn't played this game in a good 15 months, I'm slightly off. Well, we have reached the point where I've just ran out of things to talk about. So, here we're gonna find the hut pretty soon, I believe, after I beat these birds. I have no idea what this enemy is called. I know quite a few obscure Zelda enemy names. These hopping birds are not one of the names that I know. I'm just looking around here, seeing if I missed any pea bags. I recorded this footage already and I'm just talking over it, so I'm kind of trying to think of interesting things to say over it. Here we go. This is Bagoo's hut. Hi, Bagoo. How do you do? That was terrible. And if you unsubscribe and thumb me down for that, I would totally deserve it. With that note obtained, and foolishly without getting the life spell, I'm going to head to the second palace and lose some lives. And that's where this one life run stopped being a one life run. The swamp is not too hard. When you walk through water, you're a little slowed, but you can jump to negate that. Don't know how to speak today. These are red magic bottles. They refill all your magic. Just grabbed it because there's no point not grabbing it. And hey, I noticed a cave up there. So I went up there. I didn't remember what was in this cave when I played. It's actually a pea bag, so get some easy experience. No reason why I shouldn't. No, I really liked the concept that this game had for overworld map and random encounters, because in a way this is kind of a prelude to games with action battle systems like Tri-Ace games and the Tales series, which Tri-Ace started and then Namco took over with good cause, because Tri-Ace sucks so hard. I'll get into that someday. Oh, fuck it, I'll get into it now. The problem with Tri-Ace battle systems is that they blow. And here's why they blow. They are convoluted for no good reason. Let's take one of the non-Tri-Ace Tales games, Tales of Eternia, which was released here as Tales of Destiny 2 for the PlayStation 1. It was released in Europe under the Tales of Eternia name for PSP, and in Japan it was Tales of Eternia. I suspect something to do with He-Man, which I happen to have muted in the background as I talk over this video. Something to do with He-Man and being in the land of Eternia is probably what caused that to not get named Tales of Eternia. Anywho, that battle system's very easy. You can do 3-hit combos with Reed, and Farah I think also has some 3 hits, and there's chaining system rules for Reed and Farah. Like Reed can chain low level into medium level into high level moves, and Farah can chain any of them together in order, and I think she can only do one of each in a combo. And every button press you do gets you a move and up jumps, and it's all really solid. Tri-Ace battle systems like shitty fucking Star Ocean, you hit the attack button and the game locks you into running towards the... See, if I had the life spell I could have healed a bit and then used that red magic bottle to actually get all my magic back. At this point, I did debate going back for the life spell. But I'm like, I'll explore this palace. I don't fucking remember, why not? So anywho, in Tri-Ace battle systems, because Tri-Ace sucks and I still have no idea how they have so many fans, basically they think of, a simple high-concept kind of battle system, and they think of the best way to make it stupid. So in Star Ocean, you hit an attack button, and instead of swinging your weapon, you now run at the enemy and then swing your weapon, which means any decently fast enemy is just going to intercept you before they hit. So you have to work around that by running around enemies, bait their attacks out, hit the button, and hope that the combination of your character running and attacking will be enough to break in. And I know there are a bunch of people going, well, I got used to the battle system, and I'm like, yeah, well, there are people who got used to Superman 64. And this is like every Tri-Ace battle system ever. From Tales of Destiny 1, which thankfully gave you a tech ring early so you could circumvent that bullshit, to the Star Ocean games, to... you know what, Valkyrie Profile was kind of unique, and unlike most Tri-Ace systems, it was kind of elegant and simple, so I'm gonna give them the props on that one, but for the most part, Tri-Ace sucks, and... How did I start talking about this? Right. I kind of like that this game has an overworld map and random encounters that are like the side-scrolling action thing. And other than the Wonder Boy games, that series having ended, you don't really see that too much anymore. There's that new Adventure Time game, which I want to try just because it is supposed to be a Zelda 2. And much like how I would love to see a sequel to Mario 2 and not another pointless-ass Mario 3 analog in one of the new Super Mario Brothers games, I would love to see a Zelda 2 sequel. That would just be so much fun. But alright, I've rambled enough about pointless topics. Okay, this is the second palace. I don't know the official name, I just call it the Swamp Palace. In the Swamp Palace, we get our first taste of a few new things. Some of the dragon statues in the walls and the tiger statues as well, like to shoot homing fireballs at you. There are also bricks. There were bricks in the first palace, but you didn't need to interact with them. Here, you will need to break some to progress. These Hammer Brother enemies, I'm about to lose a life here on one of them, because the particular platform spacing of this room basically leads you to... those gaps just become really hard to do. I debated casting Shield, but it wouldn't have protected from the one hit I need to take. In hindsight, I should have cast Jump to that upper platform and gone around. But I didn't think of it, and I tried to puzzle my way into this meandering maze of hammers and got my ass hit, and bam, one life down. So in this palace we get some new mechanics, like the bricks you have to break. The level layout is such that you get some more difficult encounters, like the Hammer Brothers here with this platform layout, meaning that you have to kind of think your approach. I did not think there, and I did not think there. I was being real dumb, and then eventually I just kind of forced my way in, powered my way through, so I didn't have to deal with the Hammer Barrage. Another thing that this palace introduces are, you saw them earlier while I was talking about how shitty Tri-Ace is, are these pillars that kind of drop little blood drops on it, and occasionally some of them are blue that make little bot enemies. These sine wave dragon heads which drain experience and respawn. I forget if you kill enough if they respawn or not. I want to say they don't, but fuck it, they're irritating anyway. They're not worth the effort to kill. I just go around them. Now, these bricks you can break when you have the gauntlet, and if you also have the down thrust, you have to be really careful not to break a brick over lava and kill yourself. So we're just gonna run past this room. We'll kill this orange iron knuckle. In this game, enemies were color-coded. Some enemies only had one variant, like the anti-fairies, which the official name, I guess, is Bubble. I looked it up, but fuck it, that's stupid. I'm gonna call them anti-fairies. The color-coded enemies, basically, most enemies that have different colors, the orange enemy is the weakest, the red is more difficult, and the blue is the hardest. Some enemies break this trend, like those bats. We're just gonna kill this bubble. I didn't fast forward this part, partly because I wanted to show just how long it takes with the level 3 sword, and partly because when I was editing this, I just forgot to fast forward it. You're gonna have to put up with it. Most of the time, the orange enemies are weak, the red enemies are harder, and the blue enemies are hardest. There are some exceptions. The blue bats are easiest, and the red bats are harder. And for life bottles, the blue life bottles restore only 16 points of magic, which is 1 block, while the red ones restore all of your magic. Here we see the blue Stalfos. They they do the little dive on you. As enemies go up in difficulty, they sometimes add new tactics. Like the red Stalfos, which is the garden variety, just stays on the ground, but the blue ones will occasionally jump and try to down thrust you. The Iron Knuckles, we're going to encounter the red variety in this dungeon. They're exactly the same as the orange variety, but take more hits. In the third palace, we encounter the blue variety, and I'll talk more about those assholes when we get to them, but they are assholes. Here we see the red Iron Knuckle, very stylish in his dark red armor and white cape. 100 experience, very solid. Exactly the same as the orange Iron Knuckle. You use this little trick where you jump and slash his head, and bam. Open the locked door at the same time. Very stylish move on my part. I gotta say, I'm awesome for doing that. I'm not bragging or nothing, but I might just be, God's gift to the human race. I'm just saying. Alright, with that little bit of arrogance out of the way, I now have the gauntlet. So these bricks can now be broken. I'm pretty sure they're not called bricks. That's what I'm calling them. Fuck off. Don't ruin this for me. Just gonna jump and slash a few times, practice up, limber my muscles for later in this dungeon, especially since I don't have the life spell. These are MOAs. They follow the color scheme as well, but they're a little different. The orange variety, which you see here, drains experience from you. They only appear in palaces, they fly from the side, and then they drop flames. The red and blue varieties are only encountered in graveyards and some caves and towns, specifically one abandoned town later, and they fly around. They also drain experience from you, but they kind of change their height and are just a nuisance overall to avoid and strike. Here, that tiger head statue made me kind of want to throw my controller at the wall because he wouldn't freaking let me through. This is actually a particularly difficult stretch. You can see the Stalfos there trying to down thrust me, but I'm just too awesome for that. This is a particularly difficult stretch because these statues are relentless with their fucking bullet hell while asking you to melee enemies at the same time. Here I wanted to kill this anti-fairy for the experience I knew I would want to grind out at the end of this dungeon. I don't think I ended up doing it, which makes these 2 kills here a bit of a waste, but whatever. The 2 kills, did I go after this? No, I fucked up twice and then I said fuck it, I think. Could be wrong. Might be wrong. Forgot where to go there. Where to go there. Jeez, don't know how to speak this evening. Kill that anti-fairy and continue forward. Those enemies, I found out, are called tin suits. They're called this because in their official artwork they look like kind of a wolf man wearing a tin suit. I would never have figured that out. These enemies kind of look like that red monster from Bugs Bunny cartoons, and for the longest time, I thought that's what this dude was. Here, you can hear the buzzing because I suck and was not able to jump over a little one-tile gap to get into the gap in the hammers. Gap. I was going to say gap a whole bunch more times. So, it's little things like this that make Zelda 2's level design so great. One little step and one placement of a hammer brother immediately changes the whole dynamic of the encounter. And maybe that's not what the original designers were going for, and this was a happy accident, but I like to think there was a conscious decision there to go, okay, we have taken a mere building block level design and one enemy we've already used a bunch of times before and made a whole new encounter out of it. That's what I really dig about really solid level design. These bricks can be broken. Sometimes they contain a red magic bottle in it. I have not memorized which ones have them or not, so I'm just going to continue on, because if I break all of them, I don't think I can cross the height anymore, even with jump. Here, this room has a nice little pea bag. Clear that out so I don't bump my head trying to get it and fall into the lava. Very nice. I apologize for the beeping. I know I suck and should have gotten the life spell, but the beeping is as it is, and too many Zelda games don't have that option to turn it off. I don't know why they just didn't do what Kirby did. In the Kirby games, like, you get to low light, it beeps for a moment and it stops. And here's another situation where if I had the life spell, I could have just regained all my magic, really kicking myself over not getting it. And I'm kicking myself over casting jump, because that makes my little anti-Iron Knuckle trick a lot more difficult to execute. But get the timing down, and you can still do it. You could replace a crouching slash, but I kind of use the swing back as a metronome to time it. By all means, if you play through this game and do the trick yourself, do whatever version you see fit to do. And now we're gonna fight this boss, and spoiler alert, I'm gonna lose another life on him. What's this guy's name again? I think it's Helmet Head. Very original, horse head and helmet head. He has sunglasses. At least I always thought they were sunglasses. He also has a sword and shield, which he never uses. This guy has a sword and shield, and he shoots at you. He shoots eye beams. That's the MO for this game's enemies. I don't know why I said that, because I don't think that's the MO at all, but whatever. So, this guy, you just want to hit his head over and over, and because it can get a little overwhelming to deal with the main body and the two heads shooting at me, I just try to beat this guy down to the ground as fast as possible. Shield up, attack, and the fight should end soon enough. And with that was enough to get a new level. I contemplated going back and grinding out another 1200 experience, but then said, fuck it. Go in, place a jewel in the dildo statue, and wabam, Palace number 2 is done. That's gonna get me yet another level, which I believe will take my health to level 6? Nope, it'll take my magic to level 5. Thank you for watching part 2 of my terribly uninteresting playthrough. See you next time!